back to another episode of Feet in the Creek, where friendship, faith, and fun come together. We are very glad to have you here. My name is Carrie.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Rachel.
And we are the Feet in the Creek sisters. So thank you for joining us. We are very happy to have you along. And hopefully by now you have found us in the Midlife Mamas group and you're hanging out with us in there, where we continue to talk about things where we can get real in a closed, social, safe environment. And if you're not yet, then it is just Midlife Mamas on a Mission, and you can find that by searching. But we're also going to start putting some links in so you can find us. It's just a place where we get to hang out together. So
Talk about real life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Speaking of real life, today we are going to get real, talking about how our body changes in midlife.
Ruh-roh.
I know, it's not good. It's not good. So
Let me put my sunglasses on. I don't know how I feel.
So I have had some issues, some female issues for a while, just a lot of pain, and things have started to change, and just had a doctor's appointment, and they told me it's time for a hysterectomy. I had tried an ablation at one point, and that just did not work. And I'd put it off for a really long time, and they talked about, wanting to try hormone therapy, but I really want to go as natural as possible, which sounds funny because now I'm looking at a hysterectomy, but still, to me, in my mind, it's not pumping my body full of synthetic hormones or anything else. And so it was really important. I didn't want to be on another medication either,
Right.
And you never know what starts happening. I battle my weight all the time anyway. I'm always on a weight loss journey, it seems,
right.
And so that really scared me, the thought of messing with my hormones any further, because I didn't want to have to go there.
I started with these issues when I was in 8th grade. I got my period and it didn't stop. So they put me on birth control pills to regulate the hormones, which then set me up for a lifetime of battling. It messed up my hormones in such a way at such a formative age. I ended up going into deep depression. I ended up suicidal. So when that happened to me, and they were talking about, hormone, therapy and things like that, I ran as fast as I could in the other direction, because for me that meant depression and suicide. That's what it did to me in my body, those hormones. So I know some people that have done that and it's worked well for them, but I'm with you on that school about not wanting to mess around with that.
And I know we've talked oils.
Yep.
We all love our essential oils, and I have tried oils. I never got a huge benefit. I would say there's definitely a benefit to it. Like, I use my oils religiously for headaches and stress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I didn't find a huge relief with some of the oils specifically for female issues.
And see, I was the exact opposite. When I was supposed to be scheduled for my hysterectomy, I was like, listen, give me some time. I want to try some essential oils. And my doctor scoffed at me and was like, okay, whatever, whenever you're ready, whenever you can't get out of bed anymore because you're so anemic, you can't, function, then call me. And I started on an oil regimen that changed everything and set everything back. I was no longer having, night sweats, and I stopped bleeding, and, all the things, and my mood balanced. And so for me, that really worked. So I think the point is being able to see what works individually.
Yeah, and it's probably also the underlying cause. I mean, I found out I have fibroids, pretty big ones, and they're continuing to grow.
Right.
So as much as we all love our oils, there may be some things that it just is less effective on.
Yeah.
And so for me, unfortunately, this is where I'm at right now. And so I think I brought some little cheat sheets, because I'm learning, right? I'm not really sure at this point in my life now. I don't know, have you guys, this is where I had asked you ahead of time if it was okay to talk age, right? Because I think we're all about the same age. I'm 49, you're 49.
49, about to be 50, right?
50.
51? No wonder you're a grandma.
Well, here's the thing with talk about our bodies. They educate us about getting our period, right? They educate us about pregnancy, but they don't educate us about menopause.
It's true.
And so I think there is just not enough information on perimenopausal symptoms and what happens with your body. and I really think there needs to be something said about that.
Right.
And as a
Yeah.
birth doula, and a postpartum doula, always coaching people and telling people, self-care, this is what you need to do. But there really is not a lot of information about what happens to your body when you're done having children.
Exactly.
Or when you reach that age in your life where you're not menstruating anymore. Or, so I think it's really great that we bring awareness to this topic,
Yeah.
because it's so important as a woman to know, and to know that you have support.
And I had to look it up, honestly, because I didn't even know. I'd heard the term perimenopause, and of course menopause and postmenopause, but I don't know. I didn't understand exactly what those terms.
And
So
what's the
nobody
really
said
meant?
it
And what's
meant
the
that you're
difference?
laying in bed and you're like, and you're doing this, and it doesn't mean that you're changing your pajamas
that's
like
just
6
it,
times in the middle of the
right?
night.
Pretty much all
Or-
I know about menopause is
Am
people
I
around
glowing?
me who have gone through it have complained about hot flashes. That's like all I know about menopause.
Woo!
But
And
I don't.
you just
I'm
did
not.
that the other day, right? When we were filming one of the things, you got out of your car and you were like,
Woo!
"Oh my gosh, it's
I'm
hot!"
glowing.
I'm like, "I'm freezing. I have goosebumps. It's cold out. What are you talking about?" And you're just like, "I'm glistening," and I'm like,
Woo!
"That must be one of those like menopausal things."
It's like, woo!
I know. Another one of our friends always says to me, "I'm having a power surge." She goes, "It's
Oh,
a power
gosh.
surge."
I'm glowing.
Yep.
I haven't hit any of that.
Woo,
I love
girl.
how you
I need
wiped
that.
this, like, that's been my thing, is I now have a mustache and a beard I have to pluck and shave. And I'm like,
Which is-
where did that come from? So yes, give me the science behind
Yes,
it.
Okay,
what did
all
you
right.
find?
So what I found is that perimenopause can begin 8 to 10 years before menopause. 8 to 10 years.
Okay, that would make
So
sense.
when you start hitting some of these symptoms, and the symptoms can include hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness or discomfort during sex, urinary urgency, feeling a need to go a lot more, insomnia, difficult sleeping, emotional changes, irritability, mood swings, mild depression, dry skin, dry eyes, dry mouth, breast tenderness, worsening of PMS, irregular periods, racing heart, headaches, muscle aches, changes in libido. So I thought that's an interesting one. Anxiety, facial hair, depression. I know, right? So I do have some of those symptoms. I do
You don't
still
get
have to
all of
pluck.
them at once.
Yeah.
You don't.
Thankfully.
Okay, but has your
Yeah.
chin hair turned gray yet?
I don't have gray hair, no.
I hate you
No,
just a little
no
right
chin.
now.
I'm the oldest here, and I have no chin hair.
I have
All right, I'm out. I'm like 90% gray, and my chin hair is gray. Coarse gray little things sticking out of my. I said to my husband, if I ever end up in a coma,
He's in charge
just
of plucking.
visit me
We'll
every
take care
couple
of
of
you.
days
We'll take
and
care of you.
pluck and shave. That's all.
Well, my daughter Maddie just finished cosmetology school, and I
Mhm.
said, I don't care what you do, but we've got to get you trained in electrolysis because you have got to handle this for me. I don't
Can
want
be
to end
number
up.
2 on her chair.
I'm like, I don't want to end up like in a nursing home and somebody walk in and go, "Holy cow!"
They hurt
like,
themselves.
I
right?
know. I was
They're
like,
like,
gotta
ow,
take
ow,
care of
ow.
that. So anyway.
The love is real, guys. The love is
And
real.
so is the hair.
And so is there. But for me personally, what sent me to my doctor was I became anemic. Very, very. I've always kind of struggled a little bit with anemia. Very low iron levels, but extremely heavy periods. A lot of cramping, a lot of pain. Now, here's something interesting. I just went. Now they've been talking to me. Like I mentioned, I had an ablation in 2019. So 2 years ago, I had an ablation that did not work.
Yeah, I hear that
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah, like it. He went in, they use the balloon, they blow up the balloon on the inside of the uterus, and I don't know, I think they like electrocute your insides or something.
They cauterize.
They cauterize.
They cauterize the
Electrocute.
lining.
Electrocute.
So
I don't know.
I also had an ablation that was unsuccessful. So they cauterized the lining of your uterus.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
supposed to like make it like
Yes.
scar the
Yes.
inside,
Yes.
so that you don't have the sloughing up, which causes the menstruation.
Correct.
And my body just must be super amazing at healing itself because
High five with that. Healthy uteruses.
I have a very healthy uterus apparently because it said I can get past that.
Hey,
it
mine-
heals
Mine's
it.
mine's-
past electrocution.
Mine's heart shaped.
Oh.
backwards.
It is. I know that.
How do you know that?
My doctor told me.
Your doctor said, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
you have a sexy uterus.
No, she said.
romantic
hey.
A
uterus.
romantic
She
uterus.
said, hey, did you know your
Hearts
uterus
and
is shaped
flowers.
like a heart?
Really?
I said, oh, thank you.
Huh. I've never heard that one before.
No.
And I have no, but here's one of my bones of contention I think about like going through this process is when I had that ablation in 2019, apparently I had fibroids back then.
Right.
And that's the reason, but I didn't know it. Nobody ever told me.
Right.
So I went and I had the vaginal ultrasound a few weeks ago. And when they called me, they said, oh yeah, your fibroids have grown. So what do you mean they've grown? I didn't know I had any.
Right.
You know? So I don't know. Do you guys as women feel like they
You're
don't even...
misinformed.
We're misinformed.
Yeah.
They don't tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that actually kind of upset me. Like I should have known I had fiber. Like that's why I've had pain all this time. Nobody ever thought it was important to tell me that
Right.
that's why I'm experiencing
Or
some of
hemorrhaging.
this. Right.
Right.
You know. So anyway, long story short, we've decided. You know, I've tried a couple different things, and I'm going to go for this. So my thought is, what now? What happens for us ladies when we go through this? Because I do know after my research that just because they're going to take my uterus, they're going to take my cervix, and they're going to take my fallopian tubes, but they are leaving my ovaries.
Is that for hormone production?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what I found interesting, and I didn't know this, it's probably just, you know, me being ignorant of basic female anatomy, but if they leave your ovaries, I might not necessarily go into menopause right away. Like your uterus doesn't have anything to do with menopause. It's your ovaries that do.
So here's just the way my mind thinks. So you got these ovaries and they create these little eggs, right?
Yeah.
Now there's no tube for them to go down and no
Right.
uterus for them to go. So,
So
where
like
do they
what
just,
happened?
do they hang out in there? And
They
what happens
hang,
when they get
I
full?
believe they hang out, and then it doesn't, since you don't have the lining on the uterus, there's nothing.
Well, there's no even fallopian
Right,
tube for
there's
them
not-
to go
right,
down.
so
do they just
it
kind of like
just
go into your
the
body
eggs-
and float around,
right.
or do they?
It just
they get
eventually
absorbed?
they get absorbed. It doesn't. Maybe I'm not a medical expert, nor am I a medical professional, but maybe they just your body stops making them.
If you
Or
guys
it
know,
just-
like
Yeah.
let
Yeah,
us
yeah,
know
yeah,
because like
please.
what happens to them then if they, you know, if you still produce
And who do you ask? Because the same person who didn't tell you you have fibroids probably isn't going to want to talk to you about what happens to the little floating eggs.
You know what? I'm gonna come back with an answer
Okay.
because
Okay.
I
All
have
right.
an appointment on Monday,
Oh.
and so I'm gonna ask that question.
You're going to be
That's a
like,
good
one of my
question.
feet in the creek sisters wants to know what
Yeah.
happens to the eggs when there's no more fallopian
Yeah,
tubes?
so I'm
Okay.
gonna ask the question. So I will ask the question. I have a fabulous new doctor.
So here's another question
Can I
for
have
you to
her?
answer.
Yes,
Because I need a fabulous new doctor too.
I do have a fabulous new doctor.
All right, so okay, we were talking a little bit about this topic before we started filming. It's the whole sex topic, okay?
Right.
So I'm thinking here, if they take my uterus and my cervix
Right.
and my fallopian tubes, does that just leave like a big cavernous
Abyss?
hole, abyss in there? And like,
And how can they still not find each other? Because if the eggs are floating around and the guys are swimming, eventually,
well,
might
maybe
be up
no-
here in your like rib cage. And
well, no,
Ay,
well,
ay, ay.
so I know you still have the vaginal
the
canal.
doula's over there going, "Where have I gone wrong?"
Well,
No,
I
the
know
doula right here is physically visioning, like I could physically picture it in my head.
All right,
Holy
but wait a
cow.
minute. Okay, now you probably know this better than me. Okay, we still have the vaginal canal.
Yes.
Okay, all
That's
right.
all he cares about.
But the cervix is usually at the top, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now that's gone. Do they stitch it up
Probably.
at the top? So now it's just
That's
like
actually a really
this.
good question. So the swimmers can't go anywhere.
Swimmers aren't going
Everything
anywhere.
just gets absorbed.
Okay. But now you also, this vaginal canal that's like now floating in space, floating in this abyss in there. Like,
So our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are. Our bodies
Save
feel.
this conversation right now.
Our bodies are so unique
Okay.
in every way. So how I heal, you heal, Carrie will
Yeah.
heal. But our body will heal in itself. Like same thing like when we have a baby.
Yeah.
right? So we open up to 10 centimeters,
Yeah.
right? And then our cervix closes right back up. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
But now there's nothing for that vaginal canal, like not to like flop over. You know,
it's
like
not going to flop over. They're going to stitch you up. Your
It's
body's
hanging
going to
into the pelvic.
heal. Yeah, you could do some pelvic therapy.
you know, which is great because
Yeah.
one of the things they did mention, because I did ask about sex afterwards. I'm like, is it going to be different? I mean, you're taking out the cervix.
Right.
I just don't know. Like, am I going to feel like is sex going to feel different afterwards? And his words of wisdom to me were, I don't know. I was like, some
Right, because
people,
like births, everybody
It's
heals differently.
everybody's
So
different,
you might,
right.
you might have scar tissue there, you might not, and then so you're just
Well-
gonna have to take it
Well, the
really
G
slow.
spot's not in there in that
No, it's
area
not.
that's going away.
I wonder
so
if they
it
could like
should still
put that
be-
forward a little bit. Like,
While you're in there, could you just open that up a little?
could you put that someplace a little handier?
If it works for you, it works for you. But this is also a good time, right? That you could explore, right? So you could be a little patient. Hey, it's okay. But be patient, maybe, not so much jump right into intercourse, but maybe you could explore a little bit more and be
Well-
intimate because there's lots of different ways.
Well, he said one of the
That you
things
could do
that,
that.
I have started having issue with, and again, it would have been nice to know I had fibroids because sexual activity had gotten painful for me. Like, honestly, like hurt. And I didn't know why.
Right.
Like the only thing that people would say to me was like, well, have you tried lubrication?
Right.
Like, no,
But those are
I
good
don't have an
questions
issue
to
with
ask.
that.
So because you're taking these organs out of your
Yeah.
body, right? So you should probably ask your doctor, will I have to use a lubrication? Will I have to do these things? Like, what are some self-care things that I could do to have sex satisfying
And that's
again?
pretty much all he said to me was, when I asked, is it going to change anything? He said, well, it might. He said, you might find it more painful because of dryness, in which case you would want to use, lubrication. He said, but you also might find it less painful because the fibroids are now gone. And I was
Right.
like, all right, so I don't know, it'll be interesting. But I was also
It
just
is,
kind of
yeah.
wondering, anatomically speaking, without a uterus and a cervix and fallopian tubes.
You're going to be a new woman.
I am. It's like
Woohoo!
I'm just looking forward to, Aunt Flo not visiting anymore.
Yeah.
Or her sister.
Or her sister's flood.
Well, I guess it's all the process of life, right?
I guess.
And only we are unique as women
Mhm.
that we could have that, right?
Yeah.
So we accept it from day one. And like I said, there's no instruction manual. We just kind of have to be patient with ourselves. Very, very patient sometimes with ourselves because it can be frustrating not knowing the unknown.
And I do have another question for our doula. He did mention, because I also have had some trouble ever since babies, problems with incontinence. And I'm sure it also has to do with me being overweight too.
Achoo! Oh, excuse me.
Exactly, right?
Been there. Done that.
Let's just say we've all had that problem.
We've
it's
all had
just,
that problem,
it's
right.
not an unusual problem.
So that was another one of my concerns. After we talked about the nuts and bolts of sex afterwards, I'm like, okay, now what about bladder? I was
Right.
like, while you're in there, can you just like tack it up or whatever you need to do, kind of a thing. And no, unfortunately. But I said, will it get worse? Because one of the things that I had read was, now that you're creating space in there, you could have like a bladder prolapse, like your
Right.
bladder and things could like shift around. So that actually could get worse. So what he said to me was practice Kegels.
All right, so I'm going to tell you something better than Kegels.
Okay.
Is it Kegel or Kegel?
Kegel. Kegels. So,
Like
and
you
if
are.
I'm wrong, please correct me, let me know in the comments. But pelvic floor exercises. Find a pelvic floor therapist.
But isn't that what Kegels are?
It's
like exercising
more
your
than
pelvic
that.
floor?
They're
Okay.
just tightening the muscles and letting go. Tightening the muscles. Let's all do it together now. Tighten
Tightening.
and letting go.
Okay,
Tighten.
exactly.
But
What are you
pelvic-
tightening? Like I don't get it.
Well, there's different exercises that you could do.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll have a friend of mine do a video clip on
Oh,
what
that'd
she
be
does.
awesome. Yeah.
And then we'll present it to our
be
midlife
good.
mamas because, she's also a doula, but she's an occupational therapist and she does pelvic floor exercises with pregnant women, but she also does women who've had babies and are our age.
That would be
and
great.
that, we need some ways because, again, nobody educates us, nobody tells us. We have to search out things for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be misinformed. We want to make sure that we have evidence-based information.
Well, and you're right, because yes, I've had babies, but my youngest is 18, and I only just started having this issue in the last 12 to 18 months.
Right.
I didn't have that problem all the years leading up to
Right.
it. Now all of a sudden I feel like I'm wetting my pants every time I, go up the stairs. I'm just like,
Yeah,
what's
don't
happening?
sneeze.
And don't try to hold it while you're grocery shopping.
Yeah.
That's my word of advice.
Yeah.
So, and plus I'm trying to hydrate more. And so it's this battle. We know that we wanting to lose weight in
And
these
fitness,
changing bodies.
right? So with our fitness,
Right.
we're going to be
Don't
healing.
use the trampoline. That's my word of wisdom for the day.
Uh-huh. And if you do, make sure you start with empty. But we're supposed to drink a lot of water.
Right.
That's going to help us in our weight loss goals and our fitness goals and keeping our muscles limber and all that kind of stuff. Just the joints and
But
everything.
the inside needs fitness too.
Right.
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 So
So
what we
here I
put
am
in-
trying to drink more, and yet I can't keep it in.
Yeah.
But only
Well,
recently. So.
it'll come together. It always comes together.
So here is some. We're kind of starting to wrap it up, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, right?
Sure.
We've got some things that we need to get back to you on, which
Yep.
is we're gonna.
Where is that space and where do things go? And
Where do-
things get.
Where do
Where do
things
things
go?
Where do the swimmers go? Do they get absorbed into our?
Floaters and swimmers.
Where the eggs, where
Yeah.
I guess they're just gonna get absorbed. I mean, we
float
don't
around?
stop making them. Okay, so that's question number one. What's the
The Kegel.
and then the Kegel, Kegels. I really want to know how to do that. I
Right.
really, because I think that's going to be important for me. But they also say here's some other things other than Kegels and pelvic floor exercises that they talk about is diet. They say diet
Absolutely.
is very, very important. And so I just thought I would give this out. It says, diet helps with symptoms, especially plant estrogens. And so they suggest soybeans, chickpeas, our hummus, ladies.
Loving hummus.
Love our
right?
hummus.
Flaxseed oil, grains, beans, and fruits and veggies.
So they're saying soybeans good?
Well, at this point, because
At
you're
this
not, you lack, I believe,
soybeans are high in
In
plant estrogens.
estrogen. Yeah.
So that could help. But again, I'm not losing my ovaries, so my body should still be making estrogen, I would think. So
Because that's a whole other thing
I
that we
think-
could talk
and
about.
also-
like plants.
during this time in our lives, don't forget our metabolism slows down.
Or stops.
So we have to figure out a way to, increase it, exercise, diet again, all those things that are gonna
Yep.
help us.
And it mentioned fruits and veggies, and I'm really faithful about taking like my Juice Plus fruits and veggies every day just to make sure, because I know I don't eat enough fruits and vegetables in
Sleep
there.
is important too.
Sleep is important.
Yeah.
Yep. And it mentions, it talked about when you go through changes of life, when your body's going through this, we can start to be depressed, right? Weight loss, like I've battled weight loss my entire life, like needing to lose weight, right? And I still have another 50 pounds I really want to work on, and that's my goal for this year. And unfortunately, my biology is going to be working against me right now. It's going to make it even harder for me.
And you need to heal before you
And I'm going
talk
to need
weight
to
loss.
heal. I can still eat well, and I can
Yes.
still have the diet part, which is like 70% of the battle for me anyway, is diet.
It is. That's something that just came up in my year of transformation program. It's the 70-20-10, which
Yes.
I was like, I always knew that nutrition was important, but 70?
70%, yes.
And 20 of it is your
Exercise.
actual moving your body, and 10 is your rest and
Yeah.
recovery. So that was very illuminating for me.
Yeah, so I can
Yeah.
still really focus on that part. But when you start to get depressed, what is so important is this.
Yep.
Yes, 100%.
You know?
And we're real with each other. We know that we could be totally vulnerable. Sometimes it's really hard.
Yep.
Because, our mother's generation, it was, hush, hush.
Right.
You didn't talk about those things.
Yeah.
No way. you know. And so now I think us bringing an awareness to it
Right.
together, maybe we could teach our children
Mhm.
that it's okay, you know, these are the things that are going to happen to your body, and you know, we'll be there to support you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And honestly, putting your feet in the creek,
Yeah.
whether it's walking barefoot outside, connecting with earth, the frequencies, re-energizing, which should be a whole nother topic. We'll talk about
Yeah.
frequencies and
Yeah.
things like that. But this is just, it's so therapeutic.
Self-care. And
Mhm.
and that's how Feet in the Creek started.
Yep.
It's it.
The way that I recharge my batteries when I get really stressed out, for me, it's water. Some people like going up to mountains, some people like sitting reading a book. For me, I need water to recharge my batteries. And I remember inviting you ladies over years ago, you know, this is my favorite thing to do. Come join me in the creek. And so it's real important to take care of yourself, to find that thing for you that's so important. And take care of yourself as we go through these changes, because it ain't easy.
No, it's not.
It ain't
No.
easy.
No.
But we all go through it.
Yep.
We all go through
We
it.
all go through it.
Yeah.
It's better to
Yeah.
go through it together with friends.
Yeah. So follow us on Midlife Mamas
Mhm.
on Facebook.
Yep.
We're here to answer whatever questions you have or topics that pop into your head, and you know, let's discuss it.
Yeah. Let us know if you're going through this too, and what have you found helpful?
Right. I know in our Midlife Mamas group, we have some PAs. We have a couple of doctors. They're probably
Oh my
listening to
gosh,
this
they're probably
conversation going,
cringing.
ladies, let me. In fact, I started thinking about that. I would like to bring some guests in, so we may be
Absolutely.
able to have
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
And I thought one of our first sessions could be our daughters. We could each bring a daughter in the creek.
Oh,
which I
that
think
would be
cool.
fun.
But mine's only here next week, so that's a whole other topic. But anyway,
How do I choose? How do I choose?
setting us straight. But yeah, let's just end with just praying for our sisters and all of us midlife mamas going through this sort of stuff, that we can navigate and have
Right.
wisdom and things like
And know that you're not alone. We're here.
Yep.
Right? We see you. We hear you.
that. Let's do it.
All right.